John was born in Michigan as an only child to German-American parents, John Frederick List Sr. and Alma Maria Barbara List. His parents were both Lutherans, and as a child John often studied the Bible with his mother as well as attended Sunday school. His mother was known for her fierce protectiveness. As a child, he had no friends, which was largely chalked up to his prohibition on leaving the neighborhood under his mother's strict instructions. He later served in the U.S. Army during World War II as a second lieutenant. He got his bachelor's degree in business administration and a master's degree in accounting after graduating from University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, Michigan. John later went on to meet and marry a woman named Helen in 1951, and had 2 children shortly after. On November 5th, 4 days before the massacre, John had asked his family how they would want their remains to be handled after death. On November 9th, 1971, John left a note for the milkman to cancel the delivery. Then he went into the kitchen and shot his wife in the jaw. Without moving her body, John went to his mother's 3rd-floor apartment and shot her in the left eye. Her knees broke as she fell. John put her body onto the carpet runner and into a closet. John went back downstairs and dragged his wife's body into the ballroom, putting her body in a Boy Scout sleeping bag on the floor, and tried to clean up the blood. Initially planning on waiting for his kids to come home from school to kill them, he had to pick up his 16-year-old daughter Patricia after she called from school saying she was sick. He picked her up and brought her back to the house. As she entered, she was shot in the back of the head by her father, who dragged her into the ballroom and put her into another sleeping bag. John left the house, doing some banking and mailing some letters. Later he picked up his 13-year-old son, Frederick, from an after-school job. He shot and killed him as he entered the house, and his body was put there with his mother and sister. John Jr., 15 years old, came home from soccer practice early, which John was unprepared for. A struggle ensued, but John had the upper hand, shooting his son 10 times. John put John Jr. with his mother, sister, and brother, straightening them out, draped towels over their faces, and then knelt and prayed for them. He mailed a letter to his church pastor. It detailed his confession, but he also put it in an envelope with other documents. John wrote that his life had fallen apart. His wife frequently refused to attend church with him anymore. His professional life was declining as well, and he was deep in debt. John called the school, saying that they would be gone for a while on a family trip to North Carolina. He ate dinner and slept in the billets room. The next morning, he turned on all the lights, turned on music throughout the house in the intercom at a high volume, and left. Before the massacre, Patricia had told her drama coach that she was worried about her father. She told the coach that if he heard anything about the family going on vacation, it would mean that he had killed her and the rest of the family. On the night of the killings, the coach drove past the house, fell for John's trick when he saw the house lit up, and drove off. The house remained empty, save for the bodies, for nearly over a month. On December 7th, a neighbour noticed the lights flickering and the place seemed empty and abandoned. The neighbours called the police, who found the bodies. Because John List was not among them, he was immediately named the prime suspect, but he was nowhere to be found. John had moved to Colorado and had assumed the name of Robert Clark. He remarried and started a new life. His neighbour in Denver, as an avid reader of tabloids, saw the story about the family massacre in 1987. She knew it had to be the person she knew as Clark, but didn't report him to the authorities. America's Most Wanted ended up doing a segment of the massacre in 1989. It again reminded her of Clark, who had moved to Virginia with his second wife. She called the show and John was arrested. At his trial, he claimed that he sent his family to heaven by killing them, because suicide is interpreted as an unforgivable sin that would send the person who commits suicide to hell, especially by Catholics. John couldn't commit suicide. On April 12, 1990, John was convicted in a New Jersey court of 5 counts of first-degree murder. On May 1st, he was sentenced to 5 consecutive terms of life imprisonment. He died due to pneumonia on March 21, 2008.